Hi everybody. I'm going to do part 3 on our linear equations. This will be the last one, and it brings everything together that we've been doing in the last couple videos, and for what type of problems we're going to work on Monday night, April 1st. That's tomorrow night. I'm filming this on Sunday. And it'll be our practice, and you'll see things like this also on your midterm exam, which is going to be the week after, April 8th. So in the last videos we talked about a graph and a table and an equation. That we can write an equation. This is the form y equals mx plus b. It could look like that. We could plug numbers in for x and get y's. We can graph those so that this line can be written and shown in different ways. So, some of the work we're going to do today. If I give you m equals 4 and b equals 3, what's the equation? That's our formula, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. So if m is 4 and b is 3, y equals 4x plus 3. Substituting the 4 in for the m, which is the slope, and substituting 3 in for the b, which is the y-intercept. I can go in reverse and have y equals negative 1/3 x plus 8, and have you identify what's the slope and what's the y-intercept. The slope is negative 1/3, and the y-intercept is 8. This line will cross the y-intercept at 8 on this y-axis. It will have a slope of negative 1/3. It's going to go downhill because the slope is negative, and it's going to have a rise of negative 1 and a run of positive 3. So it will go downhill. Next, what if I give you, and I will, 2 points? Negative 1, 1, 1, 5. You could get graph paper and plot those points, figure out the slope, see where it crosses the y-intercept, and try to do it as a graph. I'm going to show you kind of a shorter, more efficient way to do this. Okay, so I just talked to you and showed you that if we have m equaling a number and b equaling a number, we can write the equation. The goal is to write the equation of a line that goes through those 2 points. So negative 1, 1, 1, 5. What's the equation for that line? If we know the slope and we know the y-intercept, we can figure that out. So let's figure out the slope. And from our last video, we know that it's change in y over change in x. You could do it like this. Change in y plus 4, change in x plus 2. To get from negative 1 to 1, I added 2. To get from 1 to 5, I added 4. So the slope is change in y over change in x, which equals 2. Some people like to actually look and say, okay, well, our y, remember this is x and this is y, 1 minus 5 over negative 1 minus 1. And I still get the same slope of 2 by doing that. And I talked about this in the last video, so it's the goal of finding the slope, and in this case, the slope is 2. Finding slope, if we have 2 points, we can find the slope. The y-intercept, how do we find the y-intercept? Usually by graphing, but what we're going to do is use our formula y equals mx plus b. When we have a formula and we're trying to find one thing, b, if we have the other 3 things, we can figure out the one that's missing. And we have x and y's right here. You can use either point, you guys. Use either one to do the math. You'll get the same answer. So let's use this one. Y is 1 equals m 2 times x plus b. And now you can do the math to solve for b. 1 is equal to 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus b. Get b by itself by adding 2. 3 is equal to b. So b is equal to 3. This is kind of close over here. This is just a sketch graph, and you can see it kind of is above 2. I just didn't draw it right. It probably should have gone kind of like that and goes through 3. Here we use the math to solve for b, to use our equation, and we solved it. So m is equal to 2, and b is equal to 3. If you had chosen to use this point, 5y is equal to m times x plus b. 5 equals 2 plus b minus 2 minus 2. B is equal to 3. You could have used either strategy, or sorry, either point along with the slope, because both points are on this line. You could use any point that fits on this line to actually do the substitution and get the y-intercept. Okay, so this is the last thing that we have related to slope. It's when given 2 lines, write the equation. And that's the very last thing that we're going to do. We're going to do a lot of practice on all of this tomorrow night, Monday night, April 1. So I'll have a lot of practice problems for you. It's going to be kind of a work time. I'm not going to do a lot of kind of teaching at the board. I'm going to kind of give a lot of options because people are at different places with this. So if things are going pretty good, we'll let you fly a little more, and I've got some advanced stuff. If not, that's fine. We'll work on some other things too. All right? So that'll be for Monday night, April 1st.